Hi, I'm Lisa, the Goodwill Gal. So you know I collect milk glass, you know I collect Pyrex, vintage cameras. So now let's add vintage brooches to the mix. Honestly, I wasn't really using them to the best of their beauty, so I came up with a way to display them in my master bathroom, and it's simple, just using a picture frame, some cardboard, and really the craft is easy. If you didn't have to paint or cut, you could really do it with your eyes closed. So let's get started. Now, you may already have picture frames around your house that you're not using, and this is a good way to repurpose them. I got this one at Goodwill for 69 cents, and some little grandma's needle point is no longer going to be here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this apart and rip out the backing, and then what I'm going to use, and I recommend this cardboard, corrugated cardboard over cereal box cardboard, is that this one just has more cushion and it's easier to get the pin in. I'm just going to start ripping this up. So now I'm going to measure the cardboard for the back of the frame, and I'm just using the glass as the template. If you don't have a piece of glass or template, you can always just put your cardboard over it and rough it in, and just after trial and error, just make it work in there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, now you'll notice that it fits pretty snug in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually make it smaller. I'm going to cut it so there's a little bit more room around the edges, because I'm going to wrap this with fabric, and I want to make room for the fabric as well. And I think there it's snug, but I still have room for the fabric on all sides. Now you're going to need a piece of fabric, and I just happen to have a scrap piece of muslin. And I'm using just a plain fabric because I want my brooches to really stand out, and so, you know, that's just my preference. But you can use whatever type of fabric you want. You could even go to the napkin aisle at Goodwill and just pick up a napkin that has like a bold print. You can use fabric from an old shirt, you can use flannel. It really doesn't matter, just as long as you have a small piece of fabric. So now you're going to get your template and lay it on a piece of fabric. Leave about a ½ an inch all the way around and just start cutting. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect because this is going to go in the back and nobody's going to see it. Alright, now it's time to glue the fabric to the backing, and just make sure you have your fabric face down because you don't want it glued to the back of the cardboard. I'm using a glue gun, but you can use whatever glue you want. You could even staple it if you had to. It's not that big a deal. And now I'm just going to put some glue around the edges and fold it over. It doesn't have to be perfect because this is the part that's going to be against the wall anyway. Now that it's all glued, I'm just going to push it into the frame, make sure it fits snug in there, and that's it. And then now I'm ready to paint the frame. I'm going to pop it out and get to painting. So I'm going to paint mine with white paint, and it's paint that I had left over from a project. It's Annie Sloan chalk paint, but you can use whatever paint that you have. Okay, so I've got one coat on here. I'm going to have to wait and let this dry and probably put 3 more coats. It all depends on what type of frame that you have, what color, but this just happens to be dark and I'm using white paint, so I'm going to have to use more than 1 coat. Okay, so my paint dried and then I sanded it, and you'll see I went in and I just tried to make it not perfect, and just like the other one, somewhat similar, because I wanted that rustic, shabby look and that's what it looks like. So now I'm going to flip it over, and when you put the fabric over it, the nice thing about the cardboard is it slips back in there, but it also creates a tension and just it stays in there without coming out. All right, there it is. There's the finished product, and it shows off my vintage brooch perfectly. And I told you, it was super simple. You could practically do it with your eyes closed. If you want more creative ideas like this, subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you next time.